What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ryan, and this is the Thunder Channel, back in action on Nootropics. So quickly, yes, we got removed from YouTube. I woke up yesterday morning to an email from a viewer who was like, "Dude, they removed your channel." And I'm like, "Oh shit, this again." And sure enough, it was removed. I just want to say what happened really quickly is I hit up Team YouTube, Google. I was like tweeting Google executives. I was just doing everything that I could. And then I had a lot of you guys who are viewers and customers, loyal people. And I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me that a lot of you took time out of your day to go and tweet YouTube and tweet Team YouTube and tweet these people to get the channel reinstated. It took, it was about 24 hours. And then somewhere last night while I was watching the fights, the UFC fights, I got the email saying the channel was reinstated. I think their initial beef was that, we were leading people to purchase regulated, drugs. And that's not true. We're always very careful about that on this channel. And never do I suggest, anyone, really does that. We're talking about supplements and we're talking about nootropics here on this channel. So quickly before we get into the video, those of you that stepped up, you mean the absolute world to me. And I am so grateful for you that you did what you did and tweeted these folks and showed support for the general nootropics webosphere, if you will, content sphere, and then also for me. It means more than I could ever explain to you. But suffice it to say, it means a fucking lot. So thank you. Okay, we're going to talk about cholinergic dominance because somebody had recently hit me up and said, hey, do a video about this because I think I'm cholinergically dominant and I want to hear what you have to say about it. So I will explain that. There's ways to get around it, and in some cases you're not actually cholinergically dominant. In the meantime, what supports this broadcast, a couple of nootropic products. Number one, the Cortex stack, powerful pre-made nootropic stack. I mean, it's really like a stimulant, non-stimulant. Like you get that stimulant feeling, but not the icky feeling and the side effects. It's just very, very powerful for turning on mental energy, motivation, verbal fluency. All natural products, by the way, YouTube. But highly, highly effective at affecting neurochemistry in a way that turns your brain on, either by Cortex singularly or do auto ship. Auto ship is probably a better way to do it. And if you haven't tried Cortex, you can even sign up for auto ship. And then if for some rare reason you don't love the stack, then just cancel it. But most people end up sticking with it because the stack is just very powerful to have around. Do that at livecortex.com. If you're new to nootropics, look, I created a course for you, for people that are new. It's called Nootropics Ground Zero, and it breaks down how to use nootropics. It gives you stacks. It gives you a framework for how to use them properly, because it's really all about knowing how to use nootropics to induce the states you want to induce. Life is controlled by states. Your productivity is controlled by states. Get Nootropics Ground Zero, livecortex.com. A little more advanced on the nootropics usage and stacking scale is a Nootropics Masterclass. That is also a video course that you can get at livecortex.com. And if you're interested in going to like the 6-year mark, get that course. Distinctions in there that you won't find anywhere else. If you're a guy that has to race test, VTP, you guys know the drill. Tangible results on the blood work is the goal, and we get them with the Viking Testosterone Protocol. Last couple things. If you're a young male, business person, middle-aged, or even older business male on either the corporate side or the entrepreneur side, and you want to improve baseline energy, but also substantially improve brain performance via having tailored nootropic stacks that are tailored to your brain and what it is that you have to do, work with me on either a 3.5 month or a 6 month basis. I mean, these are full-on biohacking neuroengineering podcast. That's essentially what we're doing there. We are engineering incredibly powerful brain states with the right chemicals and then leaving you with an ERS, an effective rotation schedule, highly effective tailored nootropic stacks. Take my going on 15 years of usage and fully optimize your brain. Do that at livecortex.com. Okay, so let's talk about cholinergic dominance. So what it assumes and what people have said in the nootropic sphere for the longest is that some people have adequate quantities and adequate efficiency in terms of signaling of the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. So therefore, when they take cholinergic nootropics, they either don't really affect them at all, or they get side effects, like they mess with their memory, or they make them a little sluggish or lethargic, etc. And there is something to that. So first I want to explain that people that think they're cholinergically dominant, some of them actually aren't. Some of them aren't. Number one, a lot of the complaints about some cholinergic nootropics and then people being like, oh, I'm cholinergically dominant, are actually you not using choline correctly. Not necessarily just how you're dosing, but how your brain is using it. But also, I guess, co-administered with that is that a lot of your issues are stemming from choline sources themselves and not necessarily choline affecting nootropic compounds. And you could absolutely, positively dose those too high, and most people do, because the general recommendations on alpha GPC or cognizin or acetylcholine are way too high, in my opinion. My best dose on acetylcholine is 85 milligrams, just so folks understand. I can take 100 or 200, but I have to really be taking heavy racetam doses so that I can force that choline to get into circulation, and also be taking coliracetam so I can properly synthesize the choline into acetylcholine. So that's the next thing I want to quickly address. Coliracetam and both pramiracetam and coliracetam do this. They're working on high affinity choline uptake. They're not precursors. They're not making you release anymore. They're strictly focusing on high affinity choline uptake. And what that is a process by which you take dietary choline, or in this case, supplemental choline, and turn it into brain usable acetylcholine. Okay, if that process, because you're flooding the brain with choline, is inhibited somehow via your brain chemistry from God knows what, or it's just because you have entirely too much of it and your brain isn't really up on converting it because it isn't used to converting that much choline to acetylcholine, then you're going to have lethargy and you're going to have brain fog and side effects. That's where a lot of that comes from. The solution is 10 to 40 milligrams of coliracetam with your cholinergic so that you can properly synthesize acetylcholine from the choline that you're taking. That's the first thing. That's really a couple things, but grouped into one major point, which is you've got to synthesize choline correctly when taking cholinergic nootropics. The second major point I want to make is, yes, some people definitely do dose choline affecting nootropics incorrectly. You're dosing them incorrectly. As I said, my dose is like 85 milligrams most of the time, unless I'm taking heavy acetylcholine burning compounds, like heavy doses of phenylpiracetam or other racetams. In the very beginning of my nootropics usage, I could get away with 200, 300 milligrams alpha GPC. These days, I just can't, because my brain does not really know what to do with it, and I don't really need that much. You know, I've optimized the hell out of cholinergic receptor function and signaling so much over the years that I just don't need large doses of the stuff. But yeah, it's like there is a subset of people that respond well to 300 to 400 milligrams of the choline sources. And those people are usually folks that have a blunted choline receptor function. Is sort of the endpoint of acetylcholine in the brain, which is activating receptors and then having cholinergic pathways function optimally. And if you've got some sort of blunted system on the receptor side, which can be induced by lots of other chemicals, stimulants in some case, but mostly anxiolytics, pharmaceutical anxiolytics, then yeah, your response to choline affecting chemicals and precursors, you're going to need more. So some people can actually get away with it, but most folks just do not require those high doses. So that is a big part of why people are getting, strange effects or side effects, or not the best effects from choline affecting nootropic chemicals. You're just taking entirely too much. The third major point that I want to make to folks is, if coliracetam, so forcing the choline uptake, and by the way, B vitamins too, B5 specifically helps you synthesize acetylcholine, but B's regulate acetylcholine. But if coliracetam and pramiracetam with your cholinergic stack to try to help you uptake choline better and synthesize it better, is not working and you're still running into problems with, having choline sources in the mix and then choline affecting nootropics, you really just ought to switch to either non-neurotransmitter modifying chemicals like alpha-lipoic acid and vinpocetine or NAC, right? I mean, the NAC will certainly make you make more dopamine, but it's not fussing with acetylcholine much at all. You either ought to do that or switch entirely to like the adenosine receptors, nootropic chemicals that affect the adenosine system and promote wakefulness and energy, like dynamine and like teocrine. Alternatively, or in conjunction with that, focus on dopamine. Because what a lot of folks don't understand is like, yes, you'll get the central processing on the cholinergic side. Like there's really nothing else that'll make you process information in a more compartmentalized way, in a more efficient way in terms of how your brain is running through thoughts and running through tasks than optimizing acetylcholine. But you will still get substantial nootropic benefits like energy and motivation and the will to work and that sort of baseline get up and go type of feeling from focusing on the dopamine side of things. So whether that's affinols and analogs, R-MODA, FL-MODA, regular MODA, or it is taking tyrosine phenylalanine and just raising net dopamine using chemicals like bromontane, which are bromontane specifically is helping you synthesize dopamine better via two dopamine conversion enzymes, essentially working better in the process, and then also working with dopamine receptors with chemicals like 9-MEBC. So focus on that. If all else has failed you on the cholinergic side, and you just, no matter what your doses are, and even if you're bringing in coliracetam, B vitamins, pramiracetam to make you use choline better, if all of that fails and you think you've done everything, probably hit me up and I'm sure there's more to do. But if you think you've done everything, just switch to these other things. Switch to the dopaminergic system, switch to the adenosine receptor system, and switch to non-neurotransmitter modifying nootropics. Okay. Do I think that cholinergic dominance is a real thing? Well, it obviously is, right? Because usually people who process information really well, but also are put it to use and are extremely productive. There's dopamine involved there too. But in order to compartmentalize the world in a way that makes doing what you want to do very actionable, you need acetylcholine to be functioning really well. So there are people whose baseline is just that, and that cholinergic pathways are optimized pretty damn good, and they're just not going to need high doses of choline. If anything, that's how I would couch cholinergic dominance. You just don't need high doses of it. Like these days, if I woke up and had some coffee and some dynamine and took like 300 milligrams of CDP choline, I probably would not feel good. I just don't need that much. I would need to, in that case, take some phenylpiracetam. I'd probably need to bring some coliracetam in there. I need to take a B complex with that so that the transmitter, the synthesis of the transmitter is working correctly. It isn't just about like, you take this cup of water right here and you start putting water in it like haphazardly and, water's going to fill the cup. It might spill all over the place if you're not careful about it. That's sort of the analogy I want you guys to understand when it comes to choline and affecting a cholinergic system. It is one of the most predominant, it's based on the most predominant system. Like it's got to be 40 nootropics or something that are cholinergic in their effects that affect choline pathways, choline receptor sites, choline concentrations, right? So I know that it's hard to get around that, but there's so much more if you cannot figure it out. But ultimately, you have to just be approaching it very carefully and meticulously. And I hope that this has taught you some stuff about, like, it is a little more nuanced. When you're using Noopapt, racetams, GPC, CDP choline, DMAE or centrophenoxine, and even Alcar, right? Because there's cholinergic activity with Alcar. It's not as simple as just dump the water in the cup haphazardly, hope it all goes in, it might spill. You got to do it carefully, right? Coliracetam, pramiracetam, B complex, helping choline synthesis, helping choline uptake, helping it actually work correctly. And if all else fails, switch to the adenosine side and switch to the dopaminergic side. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I just want to say one more time, those of you that stepped up and emailed or tweeted rather, YouTube and Team YouTube and hashtag Trusted Flagger and all the stuff that you guys did yesterday. You brought the channel back. It was with you guys because they need to understand that, first of all, we're not doing what they said that we were doing, but then at the same time, we're providing information that helps, at this point, millions of people. We have millions of views on all of our videos in total. I can't tell you how many people like on Facebook hit me up with like, I am angered by this because you have helped me in 1,000 ways since I've started watching your videos, and I'm going to tweet them. Thank you guys for doing that. It means more than you know that there are loyal people out there that give a crap enough about nootropics in general and this channel to go and actually do something about it. Also, I want to shout YouTube out. Shout out to YouTube. Like, I don't know if the bot got me or whatever it was, whatever. We're back, and that's what matters. Shout out to Team YouTube. Shout out to the Trusted Flagger. Shout out to the review team. These are actual people that review the account and realize it should be reinstated and then actually reinstate me. So shout out to YouTube and shout out to Team YouTube and all the people on Twitter that helped us get back up because they were actually very responsive about it. It does seem like a bot thing because they sort of all were like, okay, we'll pass this up and see what we get. So I really appreciate you guys. It means the world to me. This community that we've built is a big thing. It's a big thing in my life. I enjoy responding to comments when I'm in bed at night and throughout the day. I enjoy thinking about what content is coming next. I enjoy giving you guys the real goods. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody who played a part in getting this channel back up. In the meantime, go support us at livecortex.com. Cortex Stack. Powerful pre-made nootropic stack. Mental energy, motivation, the will to work. Just like putting your brain in a place where it's easy to work. It's easy to clean your house. It's easy to do whatever it is you want to do. Get the Cortex Stack, livecortex.com. Do auto ship. It gets you Cortex shipped to your doorstep for cheaper. And if you're new to Cortex, just do auto ship first. And if for some rare reason you don't like the stack and you don't love it, just cancel it. And you ended up getting it for cheaper doing it that way. But I think you'll love it and end up sticking with it. Nootropics Ground Zero if you're new. Masterclass if you're in a couple years but want to ascend to the 6-year mark. VTP if you're a guy that has to race test. And then again, lastly, if you're a business male that wants full-on energy and brain optimization via very, very tailored nootropic stacks in a neuroengineering one-on-one consult with me, it is so cool and so fun. And the kind of stuff we get done is amazing. We'll literally change your brain and productivity, and that will change your life. I know it sounds Tony Robbins, but that's the basis of it. I always say states control productivity, states control your life. All right, we will build an effective, highly effective rotation schedule of very, very dialed in stacks to make your brain work incredible. 3.5 months or 6 months, do those consults at livecortex.com. Thank you so much for being with me. More content to come soon. We'll talk to you next time.